Hi there, yogis. Today's sequence is geared towards getting into those hips. The hips are said to be our emotional center, as well as the source of our personal creativity. So let's get onto the mat and dive on in. We're going to start with the legs out long in front of us. Place hands on either side of the hips with the fingertips facing towards the toes. Firmly press away the mat with the palms of the hands in order to gain length in the spine. Gently press your sitting bones into the floor, and on an inhale, draw your low belly in and up. Exhale all of the air out of the lungs. Do this twice more. Inhale, draw the low belly in and up. And on an exhale, we release all the air from the lungs. Once more on your own, and release that breathing. On your next inhale, I want you to fold forward from the hips. Maintain a long spine and walk the hands down the backs of the legs as far as you can without hunching the back. Bend the knees as much as you need to in order to maintain length in the spine and the neck. We're coming into a seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. To go deeper in the pose, with every in-breath, keep lengthening from the front of your torso, lifting the head slightly. With each out-breath, see if you can fold a bit deeper into the posture, maintaining a long spine whilst hinging from the hips. Pay attention to the breath. Maybe crawl the fingertips just an inch closer to the feet. Maybe grasp the outer edges of your feet. And then exhale, come up out of the pose. Bring the feet together and butterfly the knees out wide, and bring your thumbs to the inner arches of the feet. Draw your feet as close to the body as is comfortable here. And like you are looking forward into a pond, take a deep breath in from the tailbone and use your hands to slowly draw yourself forward as you exhale. Your knees draw toward the mat, grounding you. Our neck is a nice long extension of the spine. We breathe here. And then exhale, come back up to a seated posture. Send the left leg out long. The heel presses into the mat. Bring the right knee and hug the right arm so that the elbow is as close to the knee as possible. Being mindful not to pull any muscles or move too quickly. Maintaining flexion in the right foot, lovingly nestle it into the crease of the left elbow. Tap into your breath and begin to cradle the leg front and back, side to side, or whatever feels good for you. Try to broaden across the collarbones as we lift up from the hips. Nurture yourself. And then let it go. Send the right leg out long. Coming onto the left side now, bring a flexed left foot to the inner right elbow crease, and then wrap the left arm lovingly around the knee. Breathe in, and as you exhale, try to maintain a nice lift in the upper chest. Move like you love yourself, tap into the breath, And find some gentle movement here, maybe rocking front to back or side to side. A couple more breaths here. And then let both legs go out long. Swing the legs back and around you. Tuck the toes underneath. And we're going to come into our first downward facing dog of class. Try to find some stillness here. Let the heels grow heavy. The inner elbows rotate forward and out. Each fingertip presses firmly into the mat for stability of the wrists. Breathe here. And then an inhale lifts the right leg up. Exhale steps the leg forward in between the palms. And we're going to pivot on the back foot at a 45-degree angle, pressing into the knife's edge of the left foot. Glance at your feet placement here, ensuring that feet are on different train tracks. Take a deep breath in as we lift arms up and above, bending through that right knee, being careful that the knee doesn't tip inward. We're in Warrior One. Navel draws in toward the spine, arms lift up and away from the hips, and we lengthen through the tip of the crown. Take one more deep breath in here. And then hands come to the mat. We step the back leg forward. An inhale brings hands to shins or hands to thighs for a flat back. And then exhale, we fold over, feeling a nice release in the head and the neck. Feel free to shake the head just slightly, yes or no. And then inhale, hands to shins or thighs for flat back once again. Before we plant the palms and step both legs back into a plank pose. Press the floor away with the fingertips. Take a deep breath in, and then on one breath out, we're going to slowly lower down to the mat as one unit. Once you reach the mat, hands come along the rib cage as we inhale and lift just the head and neck from the muscles of the back body. Baby Cobra. And then exhale, head crashes down like a wave. Before we bend the knees, tuck the toes, and press the hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Lift up one heel at a time, pedal it out, and then inhale, lifts the left leg up high. Exhale, bring the knee to the nose and plant the foot in between the palms. Coming into Warrior One on this side, set yourself up. The right foot pivots at a 45-degree angle, and we press through the knife's edge of that foot. Feet are on different train tracks here. Front knee is over front ankle, and we engage that back glute as we inhale and bring ourselves up into Warrior One. Grow tall from the fingertips. Allow the shoulder blades to soften down the spine. Knit the low ribs in to contract the core, and breathe here. One more deep breath in, and then exhale, hands rain and come back down to the mat, and we step it back into plank pose. Slowly lower down as one unit. Bring hands next to the rib cage and inhale as you lift just from the back of the neck and the top of the spine for Baby Cobra. And then exhale, press it back into your downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up high from the hamstring and press firmly through all 10 fingertips. Bend that knee and start to create spirals with the right knee. Maybe start with a small circle as you get bigger, and then maybe spiral it back into making small circles again. Reverse the spiral in the opposite direction. Maybe discover a sticky spot. And then on your next exhale, square the hips, bring the right knee towards the nose, and step the right foot between the palms. Drop the back knee, untuck the toes, and swing the right arm up and around to the inside of the right knee. Walk the right foot out just an inch or two. Deep breath in, keeping the left palm on the mat. And with an exhale, gently place your right hand on the lower inner thigh, just above the right knee. Play around here as you tap into the breath and gently pulsate to butterfly that leg open and closed. Open up through the collarbones and try not to collapse into the left hand. Keep breathing, pulsating with that stretching sensation. And then as you're ready, slowly heel toe your foot back to the center. Hands frame the foot on fingertips. And we're going to come into a runner's lunge. Dig into that right heel, breathe in, and exhale, send the hips back, making sure to keep them square. Scoop the tailbone up slightly to prevent the chest from collapsing. You should be feeling a nice deep hamstring stretch here. You're doing great. Another couple rounds of breath here. And then exhale, bend through the right knee, rock and roll the back leg up to meet the front, and then forward fold over the legs. Generously bend the knees here. Allow the upper body to completely melt over your legs. Breathe in through the nose and let out a big sigh as you unclench the jaw. Great. Now inhale, arms up and around overhead, and then exhale, hands come to heart center. One more time, inhale, arms come all the way up. And then exhale, arms come out to the side, heart comes forward as we swan dive down. Fingertips maybe graze the mat here before we inhale, coming up for a halfway lift. And then exhale, plant the palms, step it back into plank pose. Pressing back through the back heels. Careful not to collapse through the shoulders here. Broaden the shoulder blades. And we're here for 3, 2, 1. Great. Hips lift up and back into downward facing dog. Take a deep cleansing breath. An inhale lifts the left leg up high. Press into all 10 fingertips evenly. And then bend at that left knee As you move with your breath, find what feels good and circle that knee from big to small circles. Maybe focusing on an area that feels sticky. Reverse your circle if you haven't already. And then your next inhale squares the hips, brings the left leg up just a little higher, and then we exhale, step it through between the palms. Lower the back leg, untuck the toes. Lizard variation on the left side. Swing the left arm up and around to come inside the left knee and walk the left toes out just slightly. Inhale, bring the left palm to the inside of the left leg just above the knee. Press into the right palm, keeping that shoulder externally rotating to maintain a nice broad chest. Tap into your own rhythm here as you start to butterfly that leg open and closed as it feels good. Moving with intention, only moving to your level of comfort. One more round of breath here. And then heel toe that foot back to the center. Hips stay square here as we inhale in and exhale, dig in through the left heel and sink the hips back for a runner's lunge. Keep as much of a bend in that left knee as you need to. And start to breathe into that hamstring. Send it lots of love. Focus on your breath. And then bend through that front knee. Rock and roll that back leg up to meet the front. Forward fold. Inhale lifts you up halfway. Exhale, fold over again. Before we inhale, root to rise. Arms come all the way up and over. Exhale, hands fall through center, slice through the middle as we come to place palms down on the mat and step it back into a plank pose. We're not going to stay here. Lower the knees and come into a quick child's pose. Take a deep breath in through the nose and a deep breath out through the nose. Tuck the toes underneath, lift the hips up and back for a downward facing dog. One last round before we settle down. Inhale, right leg lifts up and back. Really lift up from that hamstring. Exhale, knee comes to the nose as we plant it between the palms. This time, pivot on the back foot so that the inner arch is in line with the front heel. Front knee is over the front ankle. Press into the outer edge of that back foot. And inhale, cartwheel the hands around, coming into warrior two. What? 2 warriors in one day? Tuck the tailbone under slightly as you draw the navel toward the spine. Energy is shooting from the fingertips as we send them forward and back. Now listen carefully, coming into triangle pose. Wrap the right thigh muscles around the bone as you straighten the front leg. Keep a slight bend in that knee, and then reach the left hand back. Now, as if you're being pulled by the right arm for a dance, bring your right side body over the right leg toward the front of your mat, and then lower the right hand to the shin, ankle, or the mat beside the foot. Never bring the hand to the knee. We're keeping a micro bend in that right knee to protect it. Open through this pose. Breathe. The left arm continues to lift up toward the sky. The right thigh muscles continue to draw upward. Feel an opening across the chest in the heart space here. And find some space to grow. Another round of breath on your own. And on an exhale, slowly and with intention, bend the right knee, circle the arms back through a warrior two, pivot on that right heel so that both feet are facing the side of your mat. Feet are a bit wider than hips distance, and the toes are slightly turned in toward each other. We maintain a slight micro bend in the knees. Hands come to the hips. Take a deep breath in, lift through the chest, and exhale, tip forward with the flat back like we're looking through that pond again. Keep folding with a straight spine until you feel like you can no longer keep the spine straight, and then exhale, walk the hands down the legs as far as comfortable is for you. Let the weight of the head go. Draw the tailbone up and release the muscles from around the shoulders and the neck. Take a few cleansing breaths here. I like to imagine the breath starting in the tailbone and then rippling down my spine through the crown into the earth. Breathe in. And then on your next breath in, hands come to the hips. And with a bend in the knees, we tenderly bring ourselves back up to standing. Move slowly. Pivot the left heel to the back of the mat. This heel is now in line with the right inner arch. Bend through the left knee, keeping the knee above the ankle. Spiral arms out, up and around. Send them out wide. And now we're in Warrior Two on the opposite side of the mat. I tricked you. Expand as you breathe in, broaden the collarbones, and soften the shoulders down the back body. Find length in the neck, and energy sends through the fingertips nice and long. Breathe here. Once again, moving to triangle pose on this side, wrapping the thigh muscles on the left to that femur bone as we straighten the left knee, keeping a slight bend in the knee. Move the arms in the same plane toward the right, and then, like you're being pulled for a dance on the left, come forward and melt down the left side. The hand can come to the shin, the ankle, or the mat. We breathe here. This is a beautiful posture to find space in and discover new places to grow. The right fingertip reaches toward the sky. The right outer edge of the foot is rooted to support us. A couple more rounds of breath here on your own. And then with intention, we bend through that front knee. Arms come back up and around again for a quick Warrior Two before we cartwheel the hands down to the mat until you face the front of your mat again. Bring the left leg to meet the front and then roll onto your back, hugging the knees into your chest. Find a place of surrender. Take a deep breath in and then let it out. Keeping the left shin parallel to the mat, cross the right knee over the left. The peace fingers, your index and middle fingers on each side, interlace around the opposite big toe. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, pull the knees in towards the chest, using your fingers around your toes as leverage. Keep a nice, relaxed, long neck. We're in supine cow face pose. Allow the breath to deepen, and let each exhale soften any tension that you might be experiencing. Connect to your breath. Slowly unravel, and we'll repeat on the other side. Keeping the right knee parallel to the mat, cross the left knee over the right. Peace fingers come to wrap around opposite big toes. Take a deep breath in, and as we exhale, we pull the knees and toes in closer to the chest. Allow the back body to sink into the mat. And as you breathe in, give your muscles permission to relax. Your hips are sighing relief. Let the experience wash over you. Breathe in here. And then, as you are ready, begin to unravel. Bring your feet as wide as the mat, and the knees can come together to kiss. You can stay here if it feels good, or you can send the legs out long, splaying the feet from side to side. Hands can come to the heart and to the low belly, or out alongside the body. Allow your breath to deepen. Feel the weight of your body on the ground beneath you. Your shoulders are heavy. Your jaw is loose. Your lips relax. Your toes feel weightless. Your body is letting go. All you have to do here is breathe. Whenever feels right for you, bring your awareness to the room around you. Bat the eyelashes open and begin to notice where you are. Wiggle the fingertips and the toes, and then come to roll on your right side until you push yourself into a seated position. And that's a wrap. I hope this flow keeps you flowing today. And I also hope that maybe some creativity discovers you. Thank you always. It's an honor to practice with you. Namaste.